Hello, friends, and thank you as always for visiting the Legend Sports Universe YouTube channel, Legend Sports Universe, where legends play forever. This is the Week 3 highlight show for Year 2 of the Franchise Stars Football League, the final week of the introductory phase of divisional play in the FSFL. These teams will not meet each other again until the final 3 weeks of this 14-game season, and with division winners and only one wild card making the postseason in each conference in the FSFL, these divisional games hold huge impact. So let's jump right into it. Week 3 in the league where they play will pay. We head to New York or New Jersey as the Bills take on the Jets. The Bills very impressive in getting off to a 2-0 start. The Jets, after a Week 1 comeback against the Miami Dolphins, were taken down by the Patriots in Week 2, but they still looked solid in that game. The Jets showing a bit of potential to do something this season, but this would be a big test for them. Hosting the Bills at home, we get to it at an overcast MetLife Stadium. We'll pick it up here. First quarter opening drive of the game, and the Bills rely heavily on the standout running back O.J. Simpson. Simpson, first play from scrimmage, busts it right up the middle, out across the 40, and the Bills are off and running. Same drive, after a 5-yard penalty, Bills on 2nd and 15. Ferguson looks down the sideline for Jerry Butler. Butler reels it in, down inside the Jets 20, and the Bills flying out of the gate here in this one. Ferguson lays it in there beautifully, and the Bills are in striking distance only a couple minutes in. They would settle for a field goal, though, and that's how it would stay as we move on to the second quarter. Jets ball out near midfield. Curtis Martin tries to get to the outside, and the Bills defense does what it does so well. Absolutely swarms him. Great play by Aaron Schobel to punch it out from behind. The rookie Mike Stratton covers it for the fumble recovery, and the Bills take over to squash the Jets' drive. Ferguson drops back, looks down the left side. There's his favorite target, Albert Dubenian. Along the sideline, Dubenian, as we've talked about previously, always performs well on the live broadcast here in the FSFL. That sets up this strike over the middle, Ferguson to Butler, and the Bills in complete control of this one. They take a 10-0 lead. A little over 3 minutes left in the half. Ferguson, deep ball down the right-hand side. Not sure where the defender was going. Cromartie keeps going. Butler puts the brakes on. Ferguson hits him down inside the 20 to the Jets 17. That would set up this play shortly before the 2-minute warning. Ferguson drops back, looks into the end zone. Dawson Knox finds a pocket. Nobody near him. Ferguson hits him for the score, and it is 17-0 Bills, looking to soar on their way to 3-0. Late in the half, minute left. Ken O'Brien drops back. Jets trying to get down the field to get that donut off the scoreboard. O'Brien finds Mickey Schuler down to the Bills 30, and now the Jets have a little something going. A couple of completions later, and that gets us to this. O'Brien into the corner of the end zone. Lavranius Cole reels it in. O'Brien 5 for 5 on the drive, and suddenly before the half, the Jets show a sign of life. They get into the end zone to make it 17-7 ball game. Bills would go 3 and out and punt, and the Jets would get it back. And Ken O'Brien airs out a Hail Mary near the end of the half, and we saw this in Week 1 in the Packers-Lions game, and it almost gave Dan Campbell a heart attack. Similar reaction here for Sean McDermott of the Bills. A pass interference call on Leotis McKelvin on the Hail Mary, call you virtually never see. We've now seen it twice this season. That sets up a Jets field goal, 17-10, as we head into the half. Early in the second half, Bills ball. Ferguson looks, and Darrelle Revis picks off Joe Ferguson, takes it down the sideline, second pick of the year for Revis. And the Jets found 17-0, and with nothing going on until a minute left in the half, have now, less than 5 minutes into the second half, made this a 17-17 game at MetLife. Terrific play there by Revis, pass intended for Dubenian. and Revis sprints down the sideline for the score, and the Jets have all the momentum. The Bills would get a Scott Norwood field goal to go back up by 3, and then Curtis Martin would go off to the races. That fumble before, forgotten at the moment, as Ferguson rumbles down inside the Bills' 10-yard line, as New York, playing in New Jersey, will remind you of that. The Bills fans love that. Bills the only team that really plays in New York, have to contend with not one but 2 teams play in New Jersey and call themselves New York. But we won't complain about that as a native New Yorker. First and goal for the Jets down at the 8, hanging on the door, and O'Brien would drop back. He'd look and he'd find his favorite target. Wesley Walker, drag route over the middle. Walker ends up in open space for the score, and the Jets reclaim the lead. It's 24-20, New York. Walker all alone on the goal line. Clearly a blown assignment there by the Bills defense. We head to the 4th, Jets still up by 4. Big sack there. Leonard Williams gets through, brings Ferguson down for the sack to make it a 3rd and 21 situation. Big play there by Williams as the Bills were putting together a nice drive getting down the field. Ferguson nowhere to go. Williams gets through. A little over 2 minutes remaining in the game. Ferguson rolls left, Bills driving, and he throws, and Jim Hudson steps in front for the pick. Second interception of the game thrown by Ferguson, and the Jets with an opportunity to put this game on ice. Lead it by 4. They snuff out the Bills' drive. Hudson with the pick. And now the Jets really, it seems like, just need to get a couple of first downs to get this game to the finish line. Bills defense comes through. Jets would get a 3 and out. Ferguson here hit as he throws, and it's Dubenian on the post. Another big play in an FSFL Bills broadcast for Albert Dubenian, who takes it to another level when we go live. Ferguson to Dubenian, 81 yards for the score, 59 seconds left, and the Bills strike a dagger through the heart of a Jets squad that thought they were going to get a dramatic and very impressive come-from-behind victory here. Glimmer of hope, 4th and 8 for the Jets, 20 seconds remaining. O'Brien drops back, looks into tight coverage, looking for Rob Moore, but it's tipped away. And the Bills survive at MetLife, 27-24. The Bills improve to 3-0. The Jets fall to 1-2. Joe Ferguson completed less than half his passes, 20 for 42, but 428 yards in this game, 3 touchdowns. Dubenian, the 81-yard touchdown reception with 50, that's a typo there, 59 seconds, not 54 seconds. Regardless, the point is, Bills come back after that Hudson pick. The whole mood in MetLife was a raucous one. They thought they had this one sealed up. A devastating loss for the Jets, who, despite having looked very impressive at times in these first 3 weeks, still head out of the first slate of divisional play at 1-2. The Bills in the driver's seat in the AFC East. Up next, we head to Cleveland, and it's the Dog Pound. The Cleveland Browns, 2-0, have not played great at home historically in the early stages of the FSFL. They went undefeated on the road a year ago. Many of their losses were at home. So they come in after this win last week against the Ravens at home, saying things are going to be much different this year. But they host a Bengals squad that's 1-1. They come off a tough loss to the Steelers last week, and they are hungry. But the Bengals started off. Ken Anderson dips this one into James Brooks out of the backfield. A perfect strike from Ken Anderson. Anderson off to a fine start this season for the Bengals. Bengals getting the ball down the field. We approach 4 minutes left in the quarter. It's Anderson again, dropping back, stands in, under pressure, rolls left, and Anderson decides to keep it. He sees daylight ahead of him. And Ken Anderson, not considered a hugely mobile quarterback, makes the play there into the end zone. Bengals strike first. It's 7-0 Cincinnati. on the ensuing kickoff. Bengals tee it up, Doug Pelfrey launches it, and Greg Pruitt says, time to get this level. Pruitt finds a seam up the middle, breaks through, and he is off to the races. Greg Pruitt takes it to the house. He's been a very good supplemental back for Jim Brown, who has not gotten off to a great start this season. But Pruitt has done a good job out of the backfield, has done a good job receiving, and he's protected the football to complement Brown. The return game is really where he can provide some impact. Brown's ball tied at 7 over the middle. It's Nelson. Down near the goal line. Doesn't quite get in. That's Jarvis Landry. He gets stood up at the 1. But first and goal from the doorstep for the Browns. He will opt to give it to Pruitt here for his second touchdown of the game. He had the return earlier. This time he runs it in from 1 yard out. Touchdown Cleveland. Browns take a 14-7 lead over the Bengals. 17-10 now, Cleveland, as we pick it up in the third quarter. And here's James Brooks to the outside. Big run down inside the 20, down to the 15. Brooks having a nice start to this season for Cincinnati. 3rd inches from the 6. Anderson changes things up here at the line, and then he goes and gives it to Brooks. Up the middle, nobody is there. Perfect audible there from Anderson. Middle opens up, parts like the Red Sea for Brooks. And the Bengals get this one level. We're tied at 17 in the third. Early fourth quarter, Cincinnati ball, 3rd and 4 from their own end. Anderson rolls out, throws off his back foot deep down the field, and he finds Brooks out of the backfield. He was short. Anderson rolled out. Brooks released, lost his man, and gets down inside the Browns' 5-yard line. Big play there. 1st and goal for the Bengals. Still tied at 17. Anderson drops, fires to the outside in the end zone. A.J. Green with the score, and the Bengals take a 24-17 lead in quarter number 4. Terrific job by Anderson there. Perfect pass to Green, who beats his man in the corner. Final minute of the fourth quarter. Browns down the field. Nelson for the end zone. Taking a shot in the end zone is Kevin Johnson, but he holds on for the score. And in the final minute, the Browns an extra point away from getting this one level. Good job there from Johnson, again, who takes a hit but holds on. The Browns elect to go for the 2-point conversion. Risky call from Marty Schottenheimer. Nelson drops out in the flat. The 2-point conversion works for the score. Terrible camera work. Nelson celebrates, and the Browns take a 25-24 lead. It's Pruitt on the conversion, and the Browns go up by 1 in the waning moments. There is a rumor, though, that the Bengals have a pretty solid return man of their own. Lamar Parrish takes this one from the 4. Lamar Parrish out across the 30. Lamar Parrish down the field, racing towards the end zone. Touchdown, Lamar Parrish, who takes the kickoff in the final 30 seconds. The distance, and the Bengals shock the Browns in Cleveland with the big victory. Lamar Parrish, huge play, answers Pruitt's earlier return with one of his own. And the Bengals take down the Browns in Cleveland to force a tie atop the division. 2-1, 2-1, 30-25. Bengals with the victory. Bengals did a terrific job containing Jim Brown in this one. 17 carries for 42 yards on the day for Brown. Again, Brown has had one really good game sandwiched in between 2 mediocre games so far from the Browns. Jim Brown, the league MVP in year 1, slow to get out of the blocks for Cleveland here in year 2. James Brooks has flown out of the blocks for the Bengals. 21 carries for 100 yards in this one, a touchdown. He did have a fumble, but he also had that huge reception from Anderson. Anderson, 325 yards passing and a score. And the Bengals pick up the win 30-25 in Cleveland. Next, we head to Arizona, the NFC West, and a huge opportunity for the Cardinals, who have looked very impressive through the first 2 weeks, to prove that they're for real. 2-0 against the defending NFC champion 49ers, also 2-0 for the early lead in the division. Here in week 3, we open up. Here are the Cardinals. 1st and 10, first quarter action. Jim Hart, right-hand side, complete. Touchdown, J.T. Smith. The Cardinals on the opening drive, a methodical drive, right down the field on the 49ers. Nothing to stop them, and the Cardinals moving it at will. Jim Hart has had a terrific start to this season. J.T. Smith has kind of been the secondary guy. Smith with the big reception there for the touchdown, 7-0 Cardinals. On the ensuing kickoff, Kermit Alexander finds a seam, breaks it, and just like that, the 49ers answer the first punch from the Cardinals. Alexander takes it the distance. Bruce Gossett would hit the extra point, and we would be tied 7-7 early in Arizona, and what would be a fun one. Back down the field go the Cardinals. Hard again, inside the 10, pass over the middle, fighting his way in is Ricky Prohl for the score. Cardinals reclaim the lead. Hart's second touchdown pass of the game. Prohl slips his way through a pair of tacklers, but dive across the goal line. 14-7 Arizona. Here's Frank Gore. San Francisco trying to slow it down a little bit on the ground. Gore breaks this one down inside the 25. Gore has had a nice start to the season for San Francisco. Gore opens up the passing game for John Brody and the Niners. The Niners would settle for a field goal, and they'd get another. 14-13. We pick it up, and here's J.T. Smith again from Hart. Over the middle, big strike down inside the 5. Eric Wright chases him down, but still with 9 minutes left in the first half, it's 14-13 Cardinals, and they're banging on the door once more. It's inside. Kermit Alexander lays out, tries to tip the pass away unsuccessfully. 2nd and goal for the Cardinals from the 2, and off to the rookie. Otis Anderson pulls his way into the end zone for the score. Anderson has been impressive here in his rookie campaign. Cardinals go up 21-13. Next drive, 49ers back the other way. Hey, there's Jerry Rice. We haven't talked about him as of yet. Rice gets down the field. That drive would stall out. Still 21-13. Later in the second now, it's Bruce Gossett who hammers this field goal through from long distance to get the Niners within 5. Frenetic pace would slow for a bit. 4th quarter here. 49ers pressure Hart. 4th quarter action. He's brought down. Michael Carter scoops it up inside the 10, brings it into the end zone for the score. Touchdown Michael Carter, and the 49ers threaten to tie it. 2-point conversion attempt here for the Niners as they try to get level. They pitch it to Gore, tries to get it to the outside, runs into his own man as the Cardinals get a great push at the line. Gore gets stopped. The 2-point conversion fails. So the Cardinals still lead it 24-22, 7 and change left in the 4th. Anderson fights through multiple tacklers, breaks his way down inside the 5, brought down. They say the knee hit at the 1. So the Cardinals hanging on the door, trying to put this one away. 2nd and goal, Hart under center. They give it to Larry Center. Center's the fullback, largely a receiving back, but he fights his way in on the short yardage for the score. Great second effort from Centers. And the Cardinals extend the lead, 31-22. Final 2 minutes of what is now a 2-score game. The clock is not the friend of the San Francisco 49ers. John Brody drops back, and he is picked off by Darrell Washington. And the Cardinals, up 9 in the final 3 minutes, get the big turnover, and they are sitting poised for a huge upset. Final 2 minutes up the middle. There's Anderson again, and Anderson puts the icing on a delicious cake for the Cardinals. Rumbles in from 40 plus for the score. Anderson brings it in. The Cardinals extend the lead, and the Cardinals put this one to bed in emphatic fashion. A huge win for the Cardinals. Jerry Rice would get a late touchdown in the waning moments, but the Cardinals would recover the onside kick, and Arizona improves to 3-0, the 37-29 win over San Francisco. Jim Hart, 19 of 26 for 271 and a pair of scores. O.J. Anderson, 31 carries for 229 and a pair of scores. EJ Jr., 16 tackles on the defensive side for the Cardinals. Cardinals rushed for 238 yards. They had almost 500 yards of total offense. The 49ers, obviously one of the top teams in the league, but they have been prone to giving up big plays. Traditionally, that's been thought of as just something that happens because they've had big leads. But the Cardinals expose it a bit here. Big plays from the Cardinals, both in the run and the pass in this one, kept the ball moving, kept the pressure on the Niners, and Arizona, huge victory, 37-29. Next, we head to Pittsburgh. The 0-2 Ravens visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers 1-1 after losing a tough one in the opening week to the Browns in a shootout. They snatched victory from the jaws of defeat against the Bengals a week ago. In that game, Ben Roethlisberger went down with an ankle injury. He came back on to finish the game, but his ankle blew up on him during the week. And Terry Bradshaw gets the start for Pittsburgh. First quarter action, gets some help from his running back. Willie Parker gets to the outside. Parker gets out across the 40 here for a first down. Deep into Ravens territory go the Steelers. Bradshaw drops back, floats this one left-hand side, complete. That's Dick Hoke out of the backfield. Bradshaw drops it in. Hoke reels it in, and the Steelers make their way in to the end zone. 7-0 Pittsburgh, quarter number one. The offensively challenged Ravens with Tony Banks at the helm. Banks tries to roll out. He is dragged down by L.C. Greenwood. The Steelers' defense has been maligned through the first 2 weeks. They gave up 37 points to the Browns in week 1. They gave up 28 to the Bengals in week 2. They've given up big plays. Their tackling has been poor. They haven't pressured the quarterback. Big challenge to the Steelers this week against an offense that has struggled. Andy Russell comes around the corner, picks up a sack of Banks there in quarter number 2. That forces a fourth down. The Ravens unable to get anything going. Second quarter action some more. Terry Bradshaw fires this one into Plaxico Burress. Big third down conversion there gives the Steelers a fresh slate from the 8. 3 plays later, Bradshaw rolls right, finds Burress again, this time for the touchdown. In the back of the end zone, Burress scores. Steelers extend the lead to 14-0. Bradshaw looking fairly impressive here for the Steelers. Final play of the first half. Steelers get stalled, they punt, it bounces into the end zone, and Devin Duvernay decides to run it out. Tries to catch the Steelers napping, and does it successfully. All the way. This is officially 108 yards from Duvernay for the score. And the Ravens get a huge play before the half to get on the board. Cundiff would miss the extra point, and we'd head to the tunnel 14-6. Fourth quarter action, now 23-9. Steelers looking to put this one on ice, but Bradshaw is picked off by Chris McAllister. In the final 2 minutes, McAllister goes the distance. 2 touchdowns for the Ravens, neither of them on the offensive side of the ball. A punt return, then an interception return. And yet, despite the Ravens not having been able to move the ball at all, the Ravens are still very much in this game in the waning moment. Onside kick here, and it's Yancey Fig 10 on the hands team who makes the grab, and the Steelers would hold on at home against the Ravens 23-16. Bradshaw, 16 of 33, completed less than 50% of his passes, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, that bad interception to McAllister. Willie Parker carried a huge load in this one for Pittsburgh. 31 carries, 133 yards. The Steelers dominated time of possession in this one. Plaxico Burress, 9 catches for 122 and a score. Jack Lambert, 3 tackles for a loss. Defensively for the Steelers, whose defense looked much better. Again, the Ravens got 16 points. The 2 touchdowns both came in other means, special teams and defense. Tony Banks, 11 of 21 for 77 yards. Ray Rice, 19 for 73, but playing from behind, they couldn't really carry this game with Rice any further than that. It was put on Banks' shoulders, and that didn't work out well. Only 9 first downs for the Ravens in this one. Ray Lewis, 18 tackles, another sensational effort. Lewis, somewhat of an island unto himself at this point for this Ravens team. Next, the Chiefs and the Raiders, a historic rivalry. Both teams enter at 1-1. Kansas City fell a week ago to the Chargers. Their offense was shut down. The Raiders shut down a week ago against the Broncos. 2 teams trying to get something rolling here to get themselves into position atop the AFC West. Play action up the middle. DeBerg drops back. He is hammered by Matt Millen on a 2nd and goal situation. Brought back at the 12. That would force a 3rd and goal. DeBerg changes things up at the line, looks over the middle, complete into the end zone for the score. He finds Tyreek Hill for the touchdown, and the Chiefs strike first. They take the lead here in the opening quarter, 7-0 Kansas City. On the ensuing drive, Ken Stabler drops back his own 26, heaves one down the field. He's got Mervin Fernandez, who makes a grab inside the Kansas City 25, 51-yard pickup. Stabler with a strike to Fernandez as the Raiders try to get this struggling offense going. Stabler gets sandwiched, but he makes a terrific throw there as Fernandez reels it in. But the Raiders would struggle after that. Handoff here, 2nd and 8. Marcus Allen tries to break it, gets gobbled up by the Chiefs defense. He's brought down. That forces a 3rd and 6. The Raiders would have to settle for a field goal. 7-3 Chiefs. That's how it would stay late in the half. DeBerg fires this one. That's Travis Kelce. Makes the catch on the quick tight end out route. Gets down, stopped at the 1. 1st and goal. Chiefs down to the doorstep. Gators would come up with the stops on 1st and 2nd. 3rd and goal, trying to force the field goal. Berg stands in, gets good protection into the end zone. There's Tyreek Hill again. So DeBerg to Hill for the 2nd time, and the Chiefs would open it up before halftime with the score. Harrison Butker would hit the extra point and would head into the tunnel 14-3. On to the second half, Raiders driving into Kansas City territory, trying to get Marcus Allen going, and Allen gets a terrific lead block there. Mark Van Egan under the 30, and the Raiders have something cooking. But again, they end up in a 3rd and long in Kansas City territory. Stabler drops back, tries to find Mervin Fernandez on the drag route, and Johnny Robinson obliterates him to jar the ball loose. Chris Barr would come on for a 46-yard field goal attempt here as the Raiders try to get something out of the drive, but they come away with nothing as Barr clangs this one off the right, and this one would stay 14-3 Kansas City. Chiefs still here in the 3rd quarter on the ensuing drive. DeBerg drops back, stands in looking. Raiders trying to get some pressure on him, but good protection. DeBerg finds a man on the right-hand side near the sideline. That's Travis Kelce again, down into Raiders territory. And the Chiefs come through with another big connection. Kelce hasn't really done much through the first 2 weeks of the season. He has a good game here, though, for the Chiefs. Reels that one in, wide open. Asamoah brings him down. The drive would continue. Chiefs would be methodical. From there, get it down into the 5, play action. DeBerg looks in for the end zone, touchdown Kansas City. That's Al Dixon. Dixon, you remember, had the big drop on the fake field goal and the costly fumble a week ago. Dixon comes through here with the score, and the Chiefs blow this one open in the third over the Raiders, 21-3. Early fourth quarter, Chiefs driving again, still 21-3. DeBerg again with time. Terrific job by the Chiefs offensive line in this game. DeBerg finds Chris Burford in the end zone for the score, and the route is on. The Chiefs with a dominating performance over the Raiders, 31-3. Berg 26 of 33 for 328 and 4 touchdowns. Priest Holmes rushes for 80 yards. There you see Kelce, 6 catches for the 121 yards. Breakout game for him for the Chiefs. That's what they're looking for out of him. Willie Lanier, 15 tackles. Derek Thomas, a pair of sacks. But the story here is the Raiders, who have now scored 9 points over the last 2 weeks. They were held to 6 by the Broncos in week 2. And they only come up with 3 in this one. Stabler, 15 of 29 for 128. That isn't going to get it done. Marcus Allen ran well when he got the ball, 76 yards on 19 carries. But once they got behind so much, they couldn't grind it out with Allen the way they are accustomed to doing. 9 first downs for the Raiders as they take the loss to fall to 1-2. Next, we head to Minnesota, a desperate Vikings team. Upset by the Bears in week 1, upset by the Lions in week 2 in a thriller. Desperate for a win, hosting a Packers team looking to take the division they were presumed to take last season. Packers looking to stake their claim that things will be different this year. This opens up. Here's Jim Taylor arrowing down inside the 5. Taylor would have a huge game running in this one for Green Bay. Brings this one down to the doorstep. He's run out of bounds at the 2. Taylor has been a force in the early going this season for Green Bay. Packers would settle for a field goal on that drive, though. The Vikings defense standing up, and the Vikings defense comes through again here. This time it's Starr, intercepted by the rookie Paul Krause, who takes it into the end zone for the pick 6. So after the goal line stand by the Vikings defense, they pick up a defensive score as Krause gets his first FSFL interception, takes it to the house, looking for Devontae Adams there. Great job by Krause, who was with Lofton, saw Starr getting ready to throw, put on the brakes, got right in the passing lane, and picked it off. And here's Taylor again. Now we're in the second quarter. Taylor turns the corner, busts it down the sideline. Harrison Smith has an angle on him, but can't quite get there. And Taylor takes it to the house. Green Bay reclaims the lead in the second quarter. It is 10-7 Green Bay. On the ensuing drive, Vikings inside their own 30, down 3. 3rd and 7. Cousins drops back, stands looking, tries to roll left, and he gets brought down. He gets hammered there by Mike Douglas, rolls right into that one. Cousins looking for something downfield that never opens up. Cousins gets driven into the turf. Later in the half, Vikings ball again in their own territory. We've talked through the first 2 weeks about Minnesota having a hard time getting Randy Moss involved in the offense. Didn't see this one coming, but it's a 98-yard reverse. Bud Grant going uncharacteristically risky on that play. That play blows up at the safety, but Moss instead goes 98 yards. Anything to get Moss involved in this offense. He has been virtually invisible through the first 2 weeks. Well, now all eyes are on him. 98 yards on the reverse. Big play for the Vikings. Great effort there trying to run him down from behind. I believe that was Herb Adderley trying to chase Moss down, but unsuccessful. 14-10 Vikings. Late in the half, Minnesota ball again. Down the left-hand side near the sideline, and there is Moss. Goes up, pulls that one down despite the tight coverage. So perhaps the Vikings now unlocking Randy Moss, which is a huge plus for this Minnesota offense. They know they have the defense. They've just got to get the offense humming. Cousins rolls right here, sees a gap, evades the sack, and runs it in himself. Cousins into the end zone for a rare rushing touchdown. And the Vikings extend the lead here 21-10. Midway through the third, Packers driving. The fourth star gets driven to the turf by Keith Millard on a third and goal, forcing the fourth and goal. Star barely got rid of that ball to avoid the sack. Green Bay would settle for another field goal, 21-13. That time, Star couldn't evade the sack. Crowlin Page getting in on the action. Remember, his partner there on the line, Carl Eller, has been a sack force through the start of this season. And now Page gets in on the act as well. The Packers persevere. Looking into the end zone, that's Randall Cobb reeling that one in from Bart Starr. And the Packers get this back to a one-score game. Final minute, Packers with the ball, trying to get into field goal range. Starr drops back, looks to the right-hand side, and it's intercepted. Picked off. Starr gets picked here. This time, it's by Bobby Bryant. And the Vikings would hold on for the victory, 24-21. Big win for Minnesota at home. Packers fall to 1-2. Vikings improve to 2-1. And the defense comes through in a big way. Kirk Cousins, 10 of 18 for 112 yards, but no picks. A huge, huge plus there for Cousins. Cousins protects the ball. All he has to do is be efficient, and the Vikings defense will carry the rest. Offensive line won't have to protect him, though. Cousins took some shots in this one. He ended up getting sacked for a total of almost 20 yards, so less than 100 total yards passing. Moss gets involved with the big 98-yard touchdown run on the reverse. Michael Bennett was stuffed, so they're trying to change things up there. Bennett, 20 carries for 35 yards. Moss ended up being the leading rusher on the day for Minnesota. Bart Starr, 25 of 43 for 279, a touchdown, but 2 picks. Jim Taylor, a huge day, 27 for 203. That big touchdown run, a huge portion of that. Nearly 16 minutes time of possession advantage for the Packers. But at the end of the day, Green Bay falls short, 24-21 in Minnesota. Next, we head to Soldier Field in Chicago. A pair of 1-1 teams, each with an upset win over the Vikings. Bears defense came through big in week 1 as they took them down, and then the Lions in a hugely dramatic victory last week, taking down the Vikings as well, sending them to 0-2. Midway through the first quarter is where we'll pick things up here. Bobby Douglas's pass is intercepted. Quick little slant. Clem Barney picks up the interception, and the Lions will get terrific field position starting off near midfield. Barney with his second pick of the year. Slant there, almost kind of a little bit of a pick there. Alshon Jeffrey thought he was interfered with, but the ball ends up being picked off by Barney. Nothing would come of it, though. And we'd head to the second quarter still scoreless. Billy Sims trying to get the Lions out of their difficult situation in the shadow of their own end zone. More than 10 minutes later, the 20th play of the drive, Mitchell drops back, hits Terry Barr on a quick slant. Barr dives into the end zone for the score. And the Lions strike first to take a 7-0 lead in Chicago. 20 plays, 98 yards in 10:22 for the Lions. Just a fantastic drive. Late in the half, final minute, Douglas gets outside, carrying the ball like a loaf of bread, but he carries it down inside the 20, down inside the 15 to the 14. That would set up a Bears field goal, and that's how we head into the tunnel, 7-3. But Douglas would face pressure all day. There's Doug English getting through for the sack early in the third quarter, opening drive of the second half. English picks up his second sack of the season on that one. Douglas nowhere to go. Robert Forte in there as well. And that is just no man's land for Bobby Douglas. Punting unit would come on at the end of that drive. Kick here. Back waiting for it is Lambarni. At his 26, he gets hammered and he loses the ball. Barney coughs it up. The Bears recover, and their offense unable to do anything to this point. The defense says, we'll help you out. We'll start you from the Lions 33. This would go up for a booth review, however. Was Barney down before he lost possession? And there you see the ground clearly forcing the fumble. And disaster averted for the Lions, and the Bears would get back on the defense. Less than 4 minutes left in the third. Handoff here to Sayers. And this will be huge for the Bears if they can finally get Gale Sayers going. He wasn't terrific in this game, but again, Sayers was averaging almost 2 yards a carry through the first 2 weeks of the season. So anything moving in the right direction for the Bears' star running back certainly will help them. He gets this one down inside the 35. Same drive, they'll play action there. Douglas rolls to the right, looks, end zone, touchdown. Mike Gitta in the end zone for the score, and the Bears, despite basically spending a half doing absolutely nothing offensively, take the lead here in the second half. 10-7 Chicago. Douglas rolling right, fires to Ditka for the score. Final minute of quarter number 3. Mitchell drops back, pressure up the middle, and down he goes. He is thrown to the ground viciously for the sack there. Osborne getting what has been a rare sack for this Bears defense so far this season, as good as they have played. 13-7 Bears now in the final 3 minutes of the fourth. Mitchell hits Sloan, trying to lead a game-winning drive for the second week in a row. Drops back here, tries to roll right, and he is buried there for the sack. Team Hicks breaks through for the sack. That would set up a 2nd and 20. Still in that final minute. Next play of the drive. Mitchell in the shotgun. He's got 4 wide. Drops back, looks to the near side, complete down inside the 25. A little something there to try to piece it together to Charlie Sanders. 3rd and 11 from the 23. Mitchell goes end zone, but deep out of the back, and it would come down to 4th and 11 from the Bears 23. Mitchell would drop, stand in the pocket, look, tipped away for the incomplete pass, and the Bears would hold on for the victory. Tim Jennings with the huge tip away, and the Bears, whose offense, frankly, is still terrible, are now 2-1, 3 games in, with a share of the lead atop the NFC North. Bobby Douglas, 8 of 18 for 115 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Ditka, 2 catches, one of them a touchdown reception. Bobby Douglas had 67 yards rushing, the same amount as Gale Sayers on 21 for 67 for Sayers. So over the 3-yard carry mark for the first time this season. Hopefully at least a sign that Sayers is getting into form. Less than 200 total yards of offense for the Lions, who looked very sharp in that win against the Vikings last week. Big step back this week for them. Only 146 yards passing from Mitchell. Billy Sims, 27 carries for 76. The Lions went 4 for 16 on 3rd downs in this game. That is not going to get it done. Butkus and Singletary combined for 31 tackles in this game for a Bears defense that has looked very solid in the early going. Bears prevail, 13-7, Soldier Field. To Washington, D.C. we head. The New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. The Giants at 1-1, coming off a huge comeback win over the Dallas Cowboys in Week 2. The Redskins' defense has been terrific so far, but the offense has not been able to get it going. They are 0-2 despite that strong defense. They would try to get their first win here. First quarter, Terry Collins looking incomplete. That would be a theme in this one. The Giants' offense would have a very difficult time doing anything. Not through the air. Collins looking here. Again, incomplete. Good coverage throughout the day. The Redskins would get a scare there, though. The rookie Dexter Manley would have to check out of this one with an injury. His status unknown at this point. Giants, third down, sack. Up the middle comes the pressure from LeVar Arrington. Arrington would get a pair of sacks in this one for Washington. Nothing doing for the Giants offense. Redskins would try to get their offense going. There's John Riggins. Burrows up the middle. Picks up first down yardage. Inside works. Let's try the outside. That works too. Down inside the 30 for the first down. Methodical drive here for the Redskins. Harry Carson and John Riggins get into a little pushing and shoving on the sideline. These two teams don't like each other. You've heard that cliche a billion times. 3-0 Redskins. They settle for a field goal on that drive. We move to the second quarter. There's Carson breaking through for the big stop on Riggins on the fourth down attempt. Washington just taking their chances, trying to get something going. They go for it on the fourth. Carson finished that one. Brian Kelly had the initial hit on the play. So the Giants take over in their territory. Handoff there, Joe Morris. And Morris couldn't do a thing in this one. Philip Daniels there with the stop. Loss of 3. Second and 13. Trying the ground again. Once again. Up the middle. Once again, nothing for Morris. Chris Hamburger gets through there for the stop. Going back to the passing attack. Collins drops, looks, tries to float one, and finally, an offensive gain for the Giants. Down the field, that's Del Schaffner. Schaffner was Collins' favorite target in year one. The Giants' drive would die there after the big play. They looked for the field goal attempt. Lawrence Tynes ties this one up at 3, and that's what the Giants would have to settle for. First half made very clear this would be a war of attrition. Second half action, early third quarter. Pass there on the play action, and it's complete. That's Chris Cooley making the reception down inside the Giants 30. Big gain there. Landon Collins unhappy, to say the least, with the blown coverage on that one. Somebody blew an assignment. Cooley ends up wide open around midfield, takes it down inside the 30. Trying to get himself going. Again, Jason Campbell, terrific last season for Washington. Here's Riggins again. The Redskins will go as far as they can get Riggins going offensively. They need him to be able to run effectively to open up the passing game. They do that. Campbell can do things like this. Step up in the pocket. He finds Bobby Mitchell in the end zone for the score, and the Redskins break the tie. It would be 10-3 Washington here in the third quarter. Giants would start to find some holes with their passing game. They'd get down the field, but Collins there, first and goal, pass incomplete from the 7. Second down, Collins looking back of the end zone, incomplete. Mark Murphy there in the coverage. That would bring up a third and goal for the Giants. Collins drops back again, they pass again. Nowhere near the receiver. That would bring up fourth and goal. The Giants with an opportunity. Do they try to punch it in? They don't. They settle for the field goal. 10-6. Fourth quarter action. Collins and the Giants trying to come down the field. Big pass deep. Man open. Incomplete. Homer Jones got past Barry Wilburn, but Collins overthrows him, and they settle for this. Lawrence Tynes looking for his third field goal of the game. This one from 49 yards out. Plenty of distance, but pushed wide. Tynes misses, and it stays a 4-point ball game. 10-6 Washington. Little more than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Washington nearing midfield. Play action fake. Campbell rolls. Pass complete. Missed tackle again. And off to the races we go. Touchdown Redskins. Troy Jefferson. Horrible tackling there by the Giants. Washington puts this one away with the late touchdown. And the Washington defense comes through with another strong performance, this time getting them the victory. Look at that terrible tackling throughout there for the Giants. Jason Sehorn gets faked out of his cleats. Jefferson rushes in for the touchdown from there. 15 of 25 for 183 and a pair of scores for Campbell. 18 for 71 on the ground for Riggy. Lamar Harrington had the pair of sacks. But the Washington defense, we've talked about it. Kerry Collins ended up over 300 yards in this game, which is all well and good. He was 21 of 50. That is barely over 40%, 42% completion percentage. Is inexcusable. Missed several wide open receivers throughout the game. Couldn't get them into the end zone when he needed to. On top of that, Joe Morris, 52 carries for only 8 yards. The fewest yards for a running back with 15 carries or more in FSFL history. Morris went nowhere in this one. The Giants could never get anything really going as far as steady momentum offensively. Again, the Collins 300 yards is fine, but completing 42% of your passes, a lot more misses than hits. And they were never able to cash in when they got the big play reception. Turn that into 7 points. 17-6, Washington gets their first win of the season over the Giants. Then to the AFC West, the Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers, both teams at 1-1, looking to wrap up the initial slate of divisional games with a hotly contested rivalry. Jake Plummer and the Broncos win road, and the Chargers, let's get out to it. Chargers' vaunted pass rush was held sackless last week, though they did get the win against the Raiders. It didn't take long to fix that this week. Fred Dean gets through, brings down Jake Plummer on the opening drive, loss of 7, and that is how this one would get rolling for the Broncos. Plummer, to his credit, is nothing if not resilient. Next play, drops back, steps up, feels pressure again, fires it down the right sideline to Lionel Taylor for a first down, and the Broncos have something on the move in the early going. This is what Plummer can do for you, stepping up in the pocket, on the move, throwing on the run. He's better on the run than he is just standing in the pocket. Broncos will get down the field there, get a field goal. 3-0 Denver midway through the first. Chargers ball. Tobin wrote, terrific protection with great coverage down the field. Finally, somebody gets loose. That is complete to his tight end, Willie Frazier. Frazier gets out near midfield for the first down. That would set up a Chargers field goal. So we're tied at 3. Early in the second quarter, Jason Elam from 51 yards gives the Broncos the lead. 6-3, a field goal battle, defensive war of attrition here in the first half. Ensuing kickoff, though, and here's the rookie, Speedy Duncan. Duncan took a kick off the distance in the opening game of the season, breaks a tackle there, gets free, one man to beat, trying to chase him down at the ankle. He's wrestled, but drags him into the end zone for the score. Speedy Duncan's second kickoff return for a touchdown in 3 games. And the Chargers take a 10-6 lead early in quarter number 2. Midway through the second quarter, and it's Chargers again. Frazier again from Tobin Road. Tight end corner route. Road hits him perfectly. Frazier had plenty of room for the reception there. 31 yards out, and Frazier coasts into the end zone for the score. Chargers extend the lead at 17. Next drive for the Broncos. They're in Chargers territory at the 3rd and 11. Plummer rolls and fires a strike down inside the 20 to his tight end, Riley Odom, down to the 17. Broncos, though, would settle for yet another field goal. 17-9, late in the half. Throw it down the right-hand side, and that's Ronnie Harmon. Harmon hasn't run the ball much this season with the pickup of Paul Lowe, who's become the starting halfback. But Harmon, still a threat out of the backfield, gets that one down the right-hand side to get the Chargers in position. They'd get a field goal before halftime. 20-9, third quarter action. Throw down the left sideline to Wes Chandler. Chandler, the league's leading receiver a year ago. A little bit slow out of the gate this season for San Diego, but Rote finds him here for the big strike as the Chargers continue to poke some holes in the Denver defense. Throw a little bit behind him. Would set up another Chargers field goal, 23-9. 4 minutes and change left in the game. Plummer scrambles, takes a shot, but makes his way into the end zone. Plummer using his legs to get the Broncos back into this game. He runs it in for the score. Well done by Plummer. Sensing the pressure, rolling out, he gets outside, gets a block from Steve Watson near the goal line. Fred Dean pops him. Plummer lands roughly, gets up, happy he got the 6th. Extra point is through. It's a one-score game. 23-16 Chargers. 2-minute warning here in the fourth quarter. The Broncos defense comes through with a fake stop. The ball gets on the ground. Harmon loses it, and the Broncos recover. Denver ball. Or so we thought. The play would be reviewed. There you see Harmon down before he loses the ball. The Chargers get a break there. They hold on. They tack on the field goal at the end of that drive. And San Diego picks up the victory to improve to 2-1, 26-16. Tobin Rote 20 of 33 for 283 and a score. Paul Lowe 71 yards on the ground. Junior Seau, 7 tackles, including a sack. The Chargers had 3 sacks on the day after getting blanked against the Raiders in the sack department a week ago. That has not happened much to San Diego. Broncos could get nothing going on the ground. Mike Anderson, 14 carries, 20 yards. Broncos unable to get anything going, though Plummer did have the rushing touchdown for their one scamper into the end zone. But the Chargers pick up a big win here, 26-16 over Denver. Next, we head to Seattle, a pair of 0-2 teams, the Rams and the Seahawks, desperately looking for a win in this opening slate of divisional play. The Rams have been explosive on offense. Their defense hasn't been able to stop anybody. The Seahawks having all sorts of problems. One of their assets, though, has been this man, the rookie, Marshawn Lynch. Lynch, terrific carry here to open the game, but you'll notice Lynch ends up slow getting up, reaching for his back. He would miss a good portion of this game. He would come back in later, but clearly uncomfortable there. The Seahawks cannot afford to lose Lynch. John Kitna drops back, pressure up the middle, down he goes to Marco Farr. Farr picks up the sack, one of his 2 on the day. The Rams would put lots of pressure on Kitna during the day. He'd get sacked, he'd take a bunch of hits even when he didn't get sacked. The Rams defense, especially the addition of Aaron Donald this season, has really bolstered that front line. Speaking of Donald, there he is, breaking through, gobbles up Chris Warren in for the injured Marshawn Lynch for the safety. And this game starts out with a 2-0 Rams lead. In the first, still 2-0. Second and 11 from their own 18. Hitting the drops back, slant, DK Metcalf, missed tackle there, and Metcalf is off to the races. Metcalf turns on the Jets. He will go the distance, 72 yards for the Seahawks. Big plays would be a big part of this game, particularly for the Seahawks, who would have struggles. John Kitna would struggle at times in this one. The big play would keep the Seahawks in this game, as you'll see as we roll on with the highlights there. Kitna pumped up. Seahawks take the lead 7-2. Midway through the half, Rams driving. Cutchin gets stopped on a 3rd down and ends up rolling up the ankle of Orlando Pace. Pace would check out. That is a loss the Rams cannot afford. Pace, leader on that offensive line. 1st and goal from the 7. Warner stands in, looks, little slant route. Fighting his way into the end zone is Henry Ellard for the score. And the Rams would reclaim the lead. 9-7. Terrific effort by Ellard there to fight his way into the end zone. Later on, be a field goal for the Rams. 12-7 game. Inside 3 minutes left in the half. And it's Metcalf again on a post over the middle. Breaks this one down inside the 15 to the 11. DK Metcalf having a big first half, 2 huge receptions. 3rd and 5 now on that same drive. Kitna drops back and then looks over the middle for the end zone. Touchdown there. And McCollum goes down to reel in a low throw from Kitna for the score. 13-12 Seahawks. Rams would try to get down the field again, though, before the half. And it's Warner. Hey, that post play looks like it's working pretty well for Seattle. We'll try that, too. Warner to Torrey Holt. Down inside the 25, down to the 20. Warner with a strike on the post there. End up with a linebacker tracking Holt there. That is not what you want. Bobby Wagner, a terrific linebacker, but you cannot ask him to keep up with Torrey Holt. So the Rams would take a 1-point lead on another Mike Lansford field goal for the half. Here we are, 3rd quarter action. Warner finds Holt again. Harold Jackson has been Warner's favorite target so far this season, but Holt getting a little bit more involved in things here in week 3. Warner drops back over the middle for the end zone. Touchdown there. That's the tight end, Billy Truix, for the score. And the Rams would extend the lead. 22-14. Still in the 3rd quarter, Seahawks at the Rams 22. Marshawn Lynch, we saw that he left in the first half with that back injury, comes back in second half. Barrels this one down inside the 10, down to the 7. That would set up a 1st and goal after 2 unsuccessful attempts. 3rd down, Kitna fires this one into the end zone. He finds Luke Wilson, his tight end, for the score. And the Seahawks would have a chance to get this game level. We would go for the 2-point conversion. Kitna out in the flat, incomplete, and the Rams would hold on to the lead, 22-20. 4th quarter we go. Seahawks. Kitna popping back in the pocket. All sorts of protection there, but he doesn't get rid of it. Great coverage down the field. A sack you cannot take if you are John Kitna. Huge sack, huge loss from Robert Quinn. That's Quinn's first sack of the year. Quinn had 11 sacks a year ago. Picks up his first of the season, and it stays 22-20. Rams. Inside 5 minutes remaining. Warner drops back, looking down the field. You can see he wants to go deep here. Nothing opens up for him. Rufus Porter tracks him down from behind for the big sack there for Seattle. Warner honestly very lucky he didn't lose this ball as Porter reaches around, tries to punch it out. Warner is able to hold onto it. The Rams would have to punt. Seattle would start off here. Inside 4 minutes left, trying to get down the field, trailing by 2. Kitna stands in. Look, deep ball down the left-hand side. He's got a man for the touchdown. Deep strike, Darrell Jackson. Perfect throw from Kitna up over the top. Jackson gets behind the defense, and we talked about it. Kitna's percentage not great on the day, but big plays were huge for Seattle in this one. In the cloudy, misty day in Seattle, Kitna drops a perfect strike there to Jackson, and the Seahawks take the lead. John Kitna pumped up. 27-22 Seattle. 2-minute warning. 4th quarter action. Warner fired. Complete. Down into Seattle territory inside the 40. There's Harold Jackson, who we mentioned earlier. It's been Warner's favorite target all season long this year. Remember, it's a 5-point game. Field goal won't do anything for the Rams here. Inside 30 seconds remaining. 1st and goal from the 1. They elect to pass. They go into the flat. It's caught, but no gain. Actually, probably a loss of about a yard on that one. They have to burn through the first time out. That would set up 2nd and goal. In the shotgun, would they try to run it here? No. Dick Vermeil tries to pass again. Slant into the end zone. Incomplete. Misses the mark. 3rd and goal. The Seahawks trying to go for a game-saving goal line stand. Inside 20 seconds now. Warner looks again. Incomplete again. and Seattle one down away. Surprising that the Rams did not try to run it at all there, but they've passed a fourth time. This one, fourth time, would be the charm. Henry Ellard on the quick out route. Warner hits him for the score, and the Rams, in the waning moments, 11 ticks left on the clock, pick up the score for the victory. They would go for a 2-point conversion. It would be unsuccessful, but Seattle would not be able to get down the field. And the Rams pick up a huge 28-27 victory. Warner 32 of 41 for 321 and 3 scores. Lawrence McCutcheon 116 yards on the ground. Harold Jackson 12 catches for 121 on the day, as connection between him and Kurt Warner continues to grow in LA. Aaron Donald, an FSFL record 6 tackles for loss in this game. 12 tackles total, 2 sacks. A terrific game. Donald has become a force in this league very, very quickly. Marshawn Lynch, 80 yards on the ground, came back from the injury, but there is still concern about him and that back injury for Seattle. He was complaining about it after the game. We'll see what happens there. Hitting a 15 of 27 over the 300-yard mark, 4 touchdowns. Hitting is probably his best performance in the year plus of the FSFL, but it still comes in a tough loss, 28-27. Next, we head to Tennessee, where the 2-0 Oilers, defending FSFL champions, host the 1-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. Earl Campbell off to a terrific start for the Oilers, who are clicking on all cylinders again. Their defense continues to be solid. Earl Campbell and Derrick Henry continuing to grind out the yards with a punishing running game, and George Blanda has played well as well. On the ground, though, for the Jaguars, they can run the ball too. Here's James Robinson. Robinson gets to the outside on the opening drive of the game. Jaguars going to try to control possession in this one. See what they can do to control the pace. Fred Taylor, off tackle to the left-hand side, rumbles down inside the 5. So explosiveness from the Jaguars running game on the opening drive. Doug Peterson's squad taking it right to the Oilers. Here is that first and goal from the 4, ferrying up the middle, and that is Stacey Mack. Will the Jaguars, with a powerful statement on the opening drive, go right down the field? Mike Hollis would miss the extra point, though, and it'd be 6-0 Jacksonville. Not to be outdone, of course, the Oilers start rumbling on their next drive. There's Earl Campbell tearing off another strong run, as he has done for much of these first 3 weeks. Campbell, after week 3, would lead the league in rushing. Another big day, going over the 190-yard mark for Campbell, who has been sensational. Drive gets them down inside the 5. Here's Campbell again. Starts inside, gets to the outside, brings it in for the score. Great job here by Campbell. Changed direction. Good seal-off block on the outside there. Campbell gets the Oilers the lead. Rob Baronis would not miss the extra point. 10-6. Now in the second quarter, Trevor Lawrence throws off the back foot, and he throws it to the wrong team. Intercepted there. Fred Glick with the interception. Lawrence, a bad choice there. He's under pressure off of his back foot. Looking for Mercedes Lewis, throws it off the mark. You can't be turning over the ball in your own end against this Oilers squad. It would make them pay for it. On the 4th and 2, play action. Blanda rolls to his left. Didn't like what he saw there. Waits for his man to get open, and he does. In the end zone, Charlie Hennigan reels it in. All sorts of time for Blanda there. Started looking like he was almost going to bootleg it. He was looking for somebody open on that top sideline there. Nobody was there, and he just waited. Hennigan gets open, 17-6 Oilers. Lead in the half. Jaguars get down the field again. They try to drive it in, but a goal line stand from the Oilers would hold the Jags to a field goal. Oilers are trying to get down the field with the waning seconds of the first half. Blanda would be intercepted. Mathis picks him off. Just snuffed that out. Blanda mad at himself there. He knew that was a terrible pass for John Mathis. He's up with the interception. Mike Hollis would hit a field goal as time expired in the first half, and we'd head into the tunnel 17-12 Oilers. Opening drive of the second half, Oilers come right down the field from the Jaguars 10, plan to find 10 again, over the middle, fights his way into the end zone for the score. And the crowd in Tennessee breathing a little bit easier. They knew the Jaguars were hanging around, making this a two-score game, opening up the second half. Gives them a bit of breathing room. Jaguars would do nothing, score now 24-12, and here's Campbell again. And now the Oilers would just pin the ears back on the ground and let the line and Campbell and Henry take control. Campbell up the middle, barrels into Jacksonville territory. 2nd and 3 now from the Jaguars 13. Here's Derrick Henry to the near side for the touchdown into the end zone untouched, and the route was on. 38-19, the final in Tennessee as the Oilers improve to 3-0. The Jaguars fall to 1-2. Campbell 27 for 193 and a score. Charlie Hennigan a pair of touchdowns. Stephen Blanda 21 of 31 for 249. 3 touchdown passes. He did throw 2 interceptions, but still a fine day for Blanda. The Oilers converted 9 of 13 third down attempts in this game. Jaguars just could never get the big stop to let them get over the hump while they were trying to hang around early. Trevor Lawrence, not a great day for him. 17 of 30, only 142 yards passing, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Red Taylor carried for 113 yards. Good day for him. But not enough as the Oilers continue to look impressive. Head to Indianapolis. They're the Houston Texans, hoping that Game 20 will be the charm. They are 0-19 in FSFL history, a tall order for them to take on the Colts. Colts 1-1. After rebounding from a tough opening week loss to the Oilers with a very strong performance against the Jaguars in Jacksonville in week 2. They open things up, first quarter action, opening drive, and away go the Colts. Lydell Mitchell bust one off, terrible tackling there from the Texans. Mitchell rumbles all the way down inside the Texans 20, and right off the bat, the Texans are on their heels. Lydell Mitchell has had a good start to this season for Indianapolis. Missed tackle there, good block there, missed tackle there, and there goes Mitchell. That would set up this play from 17 yards out. Play action from Jones, rolls out of the pocket to the left, takes a shot from Mario Williams, but finds Ken Dilger at the goal line, his tight end for the score. There you see Jones. Williams grabs him and throws him down here. The Colts wanted a personal foul at the end of this play. Ball is done, and Williams throws Jones to the turf. The Colts take the 7-0 lead. 10-0 later in the first. Over the middle, Brian Hoyer. Hoyer is picked off. Throw into traffic over the middle. Brian Hoyer has had a miserable start to this season. Shaquille Leonard gets him there. And again, turnovers, just not something this Texans squad can afford. They've had a hard enough time moving the ball without giving it to the other team. Hoyer never sees Leonard there, and the Colts are in business once again. They head down the field on that drive. We're now early in the second quarter, still 10-0. 3rd and 1. From the 4, Jones drops back to pass, looks over the middle, and Tom Maddie comes out of the backfield right on the goal line for the score. And the Colts off and running. 17-0 Indy. Still early second quarter, the ensuing drive after that, and just the Texans trying to get something going. Screen out into the flat, nothing doing there. Dominic Williams brought down by Mike Curtis, loss of 4. The Texans have nothing. They can't throw the ball. That means that they can't open up a running game for Williams. Still 17-0. Mike Vanderjagt would hammer this field goal through from 40 yards out. Vanderjagt now a perfect 10 for 10 on field goals so far this season. He has just been exceptional for the Colts so far. 20-0 into the tunnel. We open up first drive of the second half. Dominic Williams tries to run again, finds nothing, and the Colts defense just swarming. Again, nothing there for Williams because they can't pass the ball. 3rd and 7 on that drive. Hoyer drops back, stands in, decides to try to go for the big shot. Down the left-hand side, throw off the mark, out of bounds. No completion, no yardage, no hope for this Texan squad. Still 20-0, and there's Mitchell again. Mitchell dukes the defender out across the 30, out across the 40 again. Strong day for Lydell Mitchell. and the Colts would just be able to cruise throughout the rest of this game. One for good measure here. Jones drops back. He finds Dilger for his second score of the game. And the route is complete in Indianapolis. 30 to nothing. Colts over the Texans. The Texans would announce post-game Davis Mills will replace Brian Hoyer as the starting quarterback for week 4. Hoyer 15 of 39, 3 interceptions, only 147 yards. Just something has to change in Houston. Burt Jones for the Colts, 21 of 31 for 195 yards and 3 scores. Lydell Mitchell, 144 yards on the ground. Dilger, the 2 touchdown reception. Now Maddie got into the act as well. Maddie went over 100 yards rushing. So the Colts just run it right down the Texans' throat. Nothing that the Texans have going on. I'll tell you, it's going to be tough for DeMeco Ryan to keep his job. He does not have enough talent on that squad. It's hard to hold him accountable, but no wins in 20 games. Time may be running out on DeMeco Ryan in Houston. Next, we head into the AFC East. The New England Patriots 1-1, visiting the winless Dolphins. The Dolphins shut out by the Bills a week ago. Remember, the Dolphins blew a 13-0 fourth quarter lead against the Jets in week 1. It has been a rough go for Miami here in the start. The Patriots have moved the ball offensively. Their defense has been solid, but the Patriots have had a real hard time in the red zone. Somewhat similar to what the Dallas Cowboys have dealt with so far this season. We'll pick this one up. First quarter, scoreless game. The Dolphins get down the field, handoff there. Mercury Morris tries to get outside on a 3rd and 2. That play is blown up. Morris' guy breaks through, brings down Morris for the loss. Bring up a 4th and goal situation. But the Dolphins would elect to go for it here. Rather than get the 0 off the board again, they know their offense has been struggling. They try a little trickery, fake on the reverse. Too much going on there. Too much time. Too slow to develop. And Houston Antwin breaks through, sacks Tagovailoa, and the Dolphins, after getting down the field on the opening drive, come out of it with nothing. 0-0. Still the score in Miami. Still 0-0, final minute of the first quarter. Patriots would give the ball to Kevin Falk, who's had a very strong first 2 weeks. Jim Nance with a great block downfield sets Falk free, turns a 10-yard run into a 31-yard carry. And the Patriots are on the move into Dolphins territory. Drive, however, would come to a screeching halt. Still scoreless, second quarter. Dolphins try to grind it out on the ground. That's Tony Nathan getting a carry. He gets into New England territory, and the Dolphins are going to try to push around the Patriots on the line here. After Nathan's pickup, there's Morris finding some gaps in the defense up the middle, slithers his way down inside the 20, and the Dolphins seem to be in business. Things would get stifled there, and they go for the field goal. It has been a very rough open to the season for Garo Yepremian. That doesn't change here. 37-yard attempt is no good. We stay scoreless. Ensuing drive, Patriots ball. Brady gets hammered from behind on 3rd and 5. If Dak loses the ball, the Patriots would recover. Would be forced to punt again as this game would stay scoreless. Larry Gordon recording the sack there. Final minute of the half in a still scoreless game. Tom Brady finds Stanley Morgan on the sideline down inside the 20, takes a shot from Terrell Buckley, but holds on. And the Patriots in business to try to finally get the double donuts off the scoreboard. Perfect throw here from Brady. Tight coverage there from Buckley. Morgan would hold on. Patriots down inside the 10. Brady would drop back. He would look. He would have Gronkowski in the back of the end zone, but the pass misses the mark. New England would settle for a 26-yard field goal from John Smith heading into the half. And that's how we go into the tunnel. 3-0 New England. Midway through the third quarter, Patriots would get another opportunity to add some points. A 40-yard field goal attempt here from John Smith. Smith would pull this one left, and we would stay at 3-0. Dolphins trying to come down the field. Handoff up the middle, nothing doing. Patriots defense, stellar all day. The Dolphins defense was terrific too. I mean, both defenses were solid. Neither offense could find a rhythm. Patriots would try to change that midway through the fourth quarter. Go to the short passing game. Brady, little quick out on a conversion there on third down to Gronkowski. Keeps the chains moving. Another third down, 3rd and 3 from the 20. Nance out of the backfield, gets down inside the 10. So a pair of third down conversions, feeling like the Patriots might be on their way to the end zone. But no, it would stall out again in the red zone for New England. Smith would come on. 24-yard field goal attempt is up and good. But a pair of field goals from inside 25 yards, Patriots have to feel like they've left points on the board. Still a one-score game, 6-0 New England. Fourth quarter action still. Tagovailoa steps back, steps up, fires complete. Finds Brian Hartline into New England territory, and now the Dolphins are going to see if they can finally get some momentum. Nice job here by Tagovailoa. These are the kind of plays he's capable of making. They just haven't been able to get them consistently. Nice grab by Hartline. Good job holding on. Dolphins still driving down the field. 2nd and 4 now from the Patriots 25. Tagovailoa drops back. He is brought down for the sack. Chris Slade gets through, brings him down back to the 30. Tagovailoa after an incomplete pass on fourth down. Terrible decision there from Tagovailoa. Tries to hit Morris in the flat on a 4th and 9. Perhaps sensing the pocket collapsing around him. A little bit of happy feet. Dante Hightower obliterates Mercury Morris. And the Dolphins are shut out for a second consecutive week. Tua Tagovailoa, 12 of 25, 207 yards, and a couple of long receptions. But other than that, again, below 50% completion percentage. Can't really have that. Morris, 76 yards rushing. Balls are growing louder for Don Strock to take over at quarterback for the Dolphins. Don Shula's being shut out back-to-back week. Their defense has been solid. The Dolphins' defense has not been the problem. They have to put some points on the board, and right now, that is not happening for whatever reason. Brady, 19 of 34 for 188. Not a great day, but again, no big mistake. Kevin Falk hits the 100-yard mark again. He is really solid. Gronkowski finally gets involved in this offense. 9 catches for 90 yards. He's been pretty quiet through the first 2 weeks. But the Patriots, in an ugly one in Miami, up 6-0 win. We head down south to Atlanta, Georgia. Matchup of undefeated 2-0 Panthers, the 2-0 Falcons. Panthers, an overtime win in week 1, a last-second Hail Mary victory in week 2. What do the Panthers have up their sleeve here in week 3? We'll find out. Let's head down to Georgia. Opening drive of the game. Falcons ball from their 42. Ryan drops back, heaves one over the middle, finds Alfred Jenkins down inside the Panthers' 40-yard line. Jenkins would have a big day here. He's been a good find early on in this season for Matt Ryan. They've got a little connection going. This would set up a Younghoe Koo field goal, and the Falcons would take 3-0 lead on the opening drive of the game. Second quarter action to go. Panthers down in Falcons territory. At the 44, Teddy Bridgewater looks for the right-hand side, tries to float one over the head of primetime Deion Sanders, but Sanders goes up and reels it in for his second interception of the season. Bad throw there from Bridgewater as Deion hits it off, and the Falcons get possession. This would give the Falcons an opportunity to drive on Carolina here. Matt Ryan dropping back from the Panthers 36, looks over the middle. It's Michael Haynes. We've talked about this in previous broadcasts. Falcons have weapons. Haynes, Jenkins, Roddy White, good receiving core for Matt Ryan. 4th and goal from the 1. The Falcons elect to go for it. They elect to throw it. Ryan drops back, looks into the end zone. It's batted away. Luke Kesley gets a hand on it to knock it down, and the Falcons are turned aside. And this game would stay 3-0 goal line stand by the Panthers defense. Panthers trying to fight their way out of the shadow of their own end zone. They've done it a bit. They get out to the 17 here. They do it much more significantly on this throw. Teddy Bridgewater down the right-hand side. Christian McCaffrey throws a deep route out of the backfield. Bob Glazebrook is all over it. But Bridgewater drops it in perfectly to McCaffrey. Big hitter down inside the Atlanta 30, and the Panthers are in business finally offensively. sensational throw here from Bridgewater, right on the mark. Panthers would end up in a fourth down situation on this drive, and surprisingly would not bring on Joey Sly to go for the field goal. They'd go for it on 4th and 3. The pass over the middle was incomplete. John Fox perhaps getting a little bit too ambitious there. Fourth quarter of what is now a 6-0 game, Michael Palardi's punt ends up in the hands of Deion Sanders, and the ball ends up with Sanders in the end zone. Huge return for Sanders, his second return of the season for a score. And the Falcons, unable to get into the end zone offensively, get one on special teams. Sanders goes the distance, the crowd erupts in Georgia, and the Falcons open it up. They get the 2-point conversion, 14-0. Panthers defense trying to take momentum. Kawan Short hammers Matt Ryan for the sack to bring up a 3rd and 19 at the 3. Panthers hoping they can force the punt, get good field position, and finally get something going here. Falcons, however, had other ideas. 3rd and 19 from the 5, and Ryan just throws a lob. Alfred Jenkins runs underneath. 95 yards. Ryan to Jenkins, and the Panthers' hopes are dashed. Jenkins flashes into the end zone, spikes it with authority as the Falcons blow this one open, 21-0. On their way to a 21-7 victory at home, the Falcons stay undefeated, 3-0. The Panthers fall to 2-1. Matt Ryan, 24 of 38, 317 yards and a touchdown. Michael Turner went over the 100-yard mark for the first time this year with 103. Higgins, 4 catches for 153 yards. We'll take that average. A 95-yard reception will certainly help. 18 points in the fourth quarter for the Falcons. Deion Sanders, what a game. Punt return for a touchdown and interception. He had a pass defense. He even had a half a sack. You're not going to get that from Deion too much, but he picked one up here in this one. Just a terrific performance from primetime as the Falcons improved 3-0. We stay in the NFC South in a big matchup here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. We saw the matchup of the two unbeaten teams in this division a moment ago. We'll check out the two winless teams in the division. Bucs and Saints 0-2 from New Orleans. Let's get to it. Deep in their own end in the first quarter. Saints are going to try to establish the running game early. It's off to a good start. George Rogers gets them out of the shadow of their own end zone, out across the 20. Nice gain there for Rogers. The Saints have tried to formulate a two-headed monster in their backfield. Mark Ingram has been a force in the early going this season alongside Rogers. Big carry there, and the Saints would get the ball down the field, start to establish that running game. Dropping back, Breeze on a 1st and 10, though. Big sack here from Leroy Selman to start to squash that drive a little bit. But it would be a costly sack for Selman and the Bucs. Selman would leave with an injury. He would not return for Tampa. Scoreless game in the second quarter. Breeze drops back, looks to the side. Danny Abramowitz goes up and gets it. Tightly defended, but a nice leaping grab from Abramowitz to reel it in. And the Saints take a 7-0 lead. 6.5 minutes left in the half. Saints driving again. Breeze stands in the pocket, back of the end zone. Henry Childs reels this one in. It appears as though even Breeze thinks that this pass is incomplete. They do review it, however. See the replay there. That right foot seems to clearly be out of bounds. They'd call it a touchdown. Henry Childs with the score from 16 yards out. Breeze to Childs. Extra point from Rich Zarro would be missed, but it'd be 13-0. And the Saints defense would take over from there. Jameis Winston would have a rough go in this one for Tampa. Stands back, looks, throws into the flat. Nobody there. That would bring up a 4th down. This would have to punt. Fourth quarter, they still haven't gotten anything going. Winston is still missing receivers. 3rd and 4. Winston drops back. Underneath route, down inside the 10. That one is complete. McGee with the grab would set up first and goal from the 8. Handoff here. It's James Wilder driving towards the goal line. He lands in the end zone, but they say the knee hit short. It end up being a 4th and goal. An full start call on the Bucs would make it 4th and goal from the 6. Winston drops back, sees space. He's got room there to break to the end zone. Decides to turn it outside instead. Then it seems as though Jameis Winston steps out of bounds. Dirk Winston is in pursuit, but Dirk Winston never gets to him. Winston just steps out of bounds as though he was confused which down it was. He thought it was 3rd. Bucs get nothing. Come back down the field later. Winston somewhat atones. Pass there to Mark Carrier for the touchdown for the Bucs to make it a 1-score game. 13-7 Saints. Handoff here. Rodgers bulldozes his way through a tackle and shakes off Hardy Nickerson. No easy task. And the Saints hold on for a gritty 13-7 victory. Drew Brees, 12 of 20 for 127 and a score. George Rodgers, 181 yards on 27 carries. That touchdown, credit to Childs there. A terrible call. Absolutely. But Buccaneers have real issues right here. Jameis Winston, 11 of 30 for 153 yards. James Wilder had 84 yards on the ground, and that's fine. Louis Selman, 12 tackles, 3 for a loss, but the Bucs offense cannot score with any kind of regularity. Winston, incredibly inconsistent. They are 0-3. Winston had been pretty solid, actually, through the first 2 games. But the Bucs not putting enough points on the board. Their defense remains solid. You might see a change at quarterback to Josh Freeman just for the sake of change. Not usually something that you want to see, but the Bucs need to adjust something. 0-3 and reeling early on here in season 2. We'll wrap up the week 3 highlight show in Philadelphia. The 1-1 Dallas Cowboys beat the Redskins in week 1, blew a lead in the second half against the Giants in week 2. The Eagles 2-0, once again looking like a force. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles looking to assert control in the NFC East. Emmitt Smith picked up a yard on his first carry. His second goes for much, much more. Into Eagles territory, down inside the 40 to the 39. Smith struggled in week 1. He was never really able to get himself going. He had a better game against the Giants. Comes out with his best game of the season here against Philly. He was terrific all day for the Cowboys, and they need Emmitt Smith to get going. 3rd and 5, Dallas. Inside the Eagles' 20, Staubach drops back, looks, dumps it over the middle. Smith out of the backfield. He would be a little more of a part of the passing game in this game as well. Smith would run for a score on that drive. Apologies as there was a YouTube glitch. I actually lost a couple of plays on the stream, had to restart the stream and missed the touchdown. Didn't miss this one though. Eagles ensuing possession. Cornell Green obliterates LaShawn McCoy. Brady James picks it right out of the sky and takes off. James with open field ahead of him, and the Cowboys. The defensive touchdown from Brady James, 13-0 Dallas. Here early in the second quarter, Staubach over the middle. Complete, gets Michael Irvin down inside the Eagles 35, and once again, the Cowboys are on the move. That would set up this one. Emmitt Smith, short run for the score. 20-0 Dallas, all over the Eagles in Philly in the first half. You'll see Seth Joyner comes around, tries to tackle him, kind of ends up getting carried into the end zone, arguably knocks him into the end zone. Smith would have gotten in anyway. 20-0 Dallas. Late in the second quarter, Jalen Hurts says, forget this, I'm going to do it myself. Scrambles there, slips between 2 defenders, gets the first down into Dallas territory, down to the 42. Now it's Hurts staying in the shotgun. Fake, he's going to run it again. Hurts gets down close to the 30-yard line. Another good carry for Jalen Hurts, who is going to try and put this Eagles offense on his back and try to bring them back into this game. 2nd and 10 from the Dallas 13. Finds his tight end, Pete Retzloff, on a corner route. perfect throw from Hurts. Retzloff gets in. This starts bringing some PTSD back for Cowboys fans. Remember, they were up big on the Giants late in the first half in New York last week, and then started letting it slip away at the end of the first half. Giants came back to win that one. Dallas determined not to let that happen here. Final 2 minutes of the first half, Amari Cooper reels that one in from Roger Staubach down the right-hand side, down inside the 15 to the 14. Staubach throws a dart. Cooper reels it in, and Dallas is once again driving on the Eagles. They would settle for a Chris Bonial field goal attempt before halftime. Dallas would extend the lead to 23-7. Third quarter we go. First play from scrimmage. Hurts keeps it. Out across the 30, out across the 40, out across the 45. Hurts busts it out to midfield. Jalen Hurts trying to will the Eagles down the field yet again. He was the huge force on the touchdown drive they got late in the first half. He's going to try again here. 3rd and 5. Same drive. This time Hurts gets cracked down. Too tall Jones sets him from behind for the sack. That would turn a 3rd and 5 into a 4th and 13. Hurts didn't want to run this one. He was looking downfield. Dallas's coverage solid. And by the time Hurts had tried to get to the outside, Jones closed on him for the sack. Still third quarter. Once again, Eagles ball, and LaShawn McCoy tears it out to the outside, down inside the 15, down inside the 10 to the 9. That would set up 1st and goal. Hurts keeps up the work, stands in the pocket, looks back of the end zone, touchdown. It's Retzloff again for his 2nd score of the game, and the Eagles back within striking distance. We close the gap to 23-13. They would elect to go for the 2-point conversion here. Try to get this to an 8-point game. The middle, McCoy is stopped. Stopped there from Anthony Hitchens, and it would stay 10-point game. Cowboys ball, 3rd and 11. Staubach rolls, steps left, throws right down the field. Ill-advised pass from Staubach. It's picked off. Quentin Michael with the interception. Roger had a very solid game here. Tries to do too much on this one. Rolling left, throwing right. That's too deep a pass. He's looking for Tony Hill, and Michael basically calls for a fair catch there as he reels that one in. Eagles ball. Hurts on the corner route. Complete. That's Charlie Young who reels that one in for an Eagles first down. Drive would stall out, though. They would settle for a field goal here from Sam Baker, and that would get them within 7 to 23-16. Cowboys bend, but don't break. Fourth quarter action. Dallas up 7. Trying to hold on to the ball, run down the clock, not leave the Eagles with much. Eagles force a 3rd and 9. Staubach shows the mobility again, gets out of the pocket, rolls left, finds Jay Novacek for the first down. Dallas gets a fresh set. The chains move. Cowboys keep possession. Terrific job. Good creativity there from Staubach. Same drive. 3rd and 8. Near midfield. Staubach connect. On the right-hand side. That's Tony Hill. Another first down for Dallas. Chains move again. Clock keeps on rolling. Eagles running low on time. First down here for Dallas. Handoff. Emmitt Smith. Smith sees a hole there. It closes up. He pops it to the outside. Gets down inside the 20 down the sideline. Smith, as we mentioned, a terrific day for Dallas. His best game of this young season. And this carry would largely put things away for the Cowboys. They would finish off the drive right here. Staubach drops back, play action, stands in, looks, Novacek with nobody near him for the score. The play action works beautifully. Novacek has nobody near him at the goal line. Staubach connects, and the Cowboys with a very impressive bounce-back win after blowing the game to the Giants in Week 2, 30-16. Dallas over Philly. Staubach, 18-33, 240 yards. touchdown. He did throw the bad pick. But other than that, a solid day for Staubach. Emmett, 28 carries for 119 and a pair of scores. Jay Novacek, 5 catches for 63 and a touchdown as well. Dallas, 8 of 14 on third downs in this game. Staubach completes 2 third and longs on that final Dallas scoring drive to really put this one away. Jalen Hurts, 16 of 27 for 220, pair of scores. He also rushed for 97 yards. Certainly can't put this one on Hurts. McCoy, who ran roughshod in the first 2 weeks of the season, held to 68 yards rushing in this game. But the Cowboys come into Philly, get a big win. They are tied atop the division at 2-1 as we end this first set of divisional play in year 2 of the franchise stars all league. We'll wrap this show up looking at the divisional standings now after the 3 weeks of divisional play to open the season are done. We start in the AFC East. The undefeated Buffalo Bills, looking to repeat as the division champions, have been impressive behind O.J. Simpson and a stellar defensive showing. They are 3-0. The Patriots at 2-1. The loss of the Bills, their only loss. But the Patriots' defense has been great. They have had red zone issues, as we spoke about earlier on in the broadcast. The Patriots have to clean those up. Look for the Patriots. Get that offense going. Tom Brady is too good. He's got too many weapons. The Patriots offense will step up. The Jets at 1-2. Jets have shown flashes. Their season can kind of go either way here. I think the Jets are probably going to end up, remember, the Jets struggled mightily early in last season, and then they went through a stretch where they won 5 of 6 late in the year. The Jets are kind of a mid-level team here. They can kind of go either way. They've got some bright spots on the offense. Wesley Walker, Ken O'Brien at times been good. Curtis Martin is off to a terrific start this year. And the defense is solid. I just don't think they have the horses to overtake Bills and Patriots. Dolphins have a real problem down in Miami. Don Shula's offense just cannot get going. There are increasing calls for Don Strock to take over for Tua Tagovailoa. Although Tagovailoa really hasn't been bad. It's just they can't get the offense going. It might be a change just to try to get some sort of spark in that offense. That is a limited receiving core. Tagovailoa does not have a ton of weapons other than Keith Jackson at tight end and Mercury Morris in the backfield, but his wideout core is just not great, and that you can see the Dolphins are getting a lot of pressure. Teams are forcing them to try and pass the ball. They're gearing up for the run, and so far the Dolphins have not had an answer. Their defense has been solid, but 13 points in 3 weeks, back-to-back shutouts. The Dolphins have a real problem going down there in Miami. Next, take a look at the NFC East. The Cowboys and Eagles tied atop the division. The Cowboys have the top spot by virtue of their 30-16 win over the Eagles here in Week 3. Terrific performance by Dallas. Dallas looking to bounce back after a disappointing first season. They slipped in the last week of the season as the final wild card for the Eagles dismantled them and ended their very short playoff run. But the Cowboys have looked pretty solid here. They've been a little bit erratic on the offense, but a good sign for them. Emmitt Smith getting going here in Week 3 against Philly. That'll open things up for Staubach. Staubach had a couple of really impressive plays in that game. The Eagles' defense is terrific. 43 points allowed in 3 games. That's going to keep them in every game. And that offense is very solid. Jalen Hurts, again, runner-up in the MVP voting in year 1 to Jim Brown of the Browns. But Hurts was terrific again. Hurts basically tried to single-handedly carry the Eagles past Dallas here in Week 3. So those two teams are going to be there throughout the year. Take a look at the Redskins, though. The Redskins last year, Jason Campbell was the biggest surprise in the league offensively. He had a very solid year for Washington last year. He has struggled out of the gate this year, but that Washington defense has been terrific so far. If they can get the offense going, Washington can pose a problem in this division and in the NFC. Giants have just been erratic. They played a terrific game against the Cowboys in Week 2. Terrific second half, really, coming back from that deficit. But then they laid an egg here in Week 3 against Washington. Again, Washington's defense had something to do with that, but we're going to see the Giants have to get the running game going. Joe Morris, a record low in terms of yardage for a running back over 15 carries this week against Washington. He was completely contained. Giants couldn't get anything going. They need to get the ground game going, give Terry Collins a chance to do something with that receiving corps in New York. The NFC East has been kind of smash-mouth football through the first 3 weeks. The AFC North has been far more wide open than you would expect in that division. Look at some of these point totals. 3 teams over 80 so far. Nobody has allowed fewer than 70. It has been a wild first 3 weeks. In the North, Browns and Steelers and Bengals all at 2-1. The Ravens just don't have enough on offense. Ray Rice is a very solid back. Tony Banks and a fairly limited receiving corps just do not get that defense off the field enough. So the Ravens are at the bottom of that division, an 0-3 start, particularly with the playoff setup now where there's only one wild card and it's 4 division winners. Just a brutal position for the Ravens to be in. I don't think the Ravens are going to be a threat in this league until they can get a better quarterback in there than Tony Banks. Calls for Kyle Bowler to start. We'll see if that change takes place. Browns trying to get Jim Brown rolling. Remember, Jim Brown struggled through the first couple of weeks. He had a bit of a better showing here in week 3. Look for him to get back into form. Steelers defense was terrible in the first 2 weeks, even though they defeated the Bengals in week 2. Their defense looked shaky. A much better performance by the Steelers defense here in week 3 over the Ravens. Of course, the Ravens a weaker offense. So that contributed to that a bit. But I think you're seeing the Steelers defense come around. We'll see what the next week or 2 brings. We'll see if Pittsburgh has really turned the corner defensively. They'll get Ben Roethlisberger back this week as well. The Bengals are an interesting squad. James Brooks is off to a terrific start. Ken Anderson is off to a sensational start, using all his weapons at receiver, Pickens, Green. They've been really good. The defense for Cincinnati, still a bit suspect. So that's going to kind of determine how they go. Got to think that the Browns and Steelers are going to be the class of this division going forward. Next, we head on over to the NFC North. The defending champion Vikings, defending division champion Vikings. At 1-2, that was a huge win for Minnesota over the Packers. The Packers were hoping to go 3-0 there, and the Vikings kind of stumbled out of the gate. A pair of tough losses to the Bears and to the Lions in the first 2 weeks. Well, the Vikings pulled it together here in week 3, still trying to get Randy Moss involved. That huge reverse, a big play there, but you're not going to bet on Randy Moss running the ball every week. You need to get Randy Moss the ball through the air, and Kirk Cousins has to do a better job of that. Packers looking solid despite stumbling here against the Vikings in week 3. Their defense has been terrific. Ray Nitschke and Willie Davis have been fierce, and Jim Taylor, second in the league in rushing behind the Oilers, Earl Campbell. Taylor's off to a terrific start for Green Bay. You need to keep an eye on here. I don't think they've got the staying power because I don't think they're going to score enough points. But the Bears, despite inconsistent play from Bobby Douglas and Gale Sayers, still not performing to the level he did in year 1 or to expectations. Bears have only scored 42 points, but they've only allowed 49, and they sit at 2-1 after 3 weeks. The Lions have been right there. The Lions' defense has been better than those 73 points allowed indicate. That's a terrible number. The Lions have to get consistency from Scott Mitchell. If Mitchell plays well, as he did against the Vikings in week 2, Mitchell had his best game in NFL history in that win over the Vikings. If they can get Mitchell to play at or near that level, the Lions can do some damage as well. Billy Sims been solid in the back. That Lions defense, I like that defense. They are ball hawks. Night Train Lane and Lem Barney put on hits. They pick off passes. Wayne Walker has been terrific at linebacker. So if they can get some consistency out of that offense, the Lions can make things at least interesting in the NFC North. Go down south, the AFC South, the defending champion Oilers, undefeated here to open up year 2, 3-0, 97-35. As far as points against, they have just been sensational. Earl Campbell leads the league in rushing. Defense doing what their defense does. Again, this is pretty much a 3-team division. Texans 0-3, 8 points for 85 points allowed. That is horrendous. The Texans are going to make a change at quarterback this week. Davis Mills is going to play instead of Brian Hoyer, just trying to get something. But the Texans are basically a give-me-win every week. The Colts crowded them. The Jaguars hammered them. There's just nothing going on there this season. The Jaguars offense, they really need to get Taylor going consistently, and they need to have James Robinson contributing a bit. Trevor Lawrence, inconsistent at the helm. They're only 46 points in 3 games for the Jags. Colts really dominated in that win. That was kind of a exposure game for the Jaguars there. Colts and Oilers will be atop this division. Again, that Colts defense is very, very solid. Oilers took them in week 1. They will, of course, rematch again late in the season. Colts are one of those teams that even if they don't win the division, the Colts will at least be in hunt for a wild card spot here in the AFC. That one wild card spot in the new structure in the FSFL. NFC South came down to week 17 last year with every team in position to possibly make the playoffs and every team possibly in position to miss the playoffs. Tightest division in football a year ago. It has been an interesting start in the South here in year 2. The Falcons undefeated at 3-0. Their defense has been great. They've gotten a pair of special teams touchdowns from Deion Sanders on punt return. Matt Ryan is spreading out the offense to his very solid receiving corps. Falcons are off to a really dynamite start here. Panthers won a pair of thrillers. Remember, they won in overtime in week 1, and then they won on a Hail Mary to end the game in week 2. DJ Moore pulling that one down in the end zone from Teddy Bridgewater before falling to the Falcons here in week 3. But the Panthers have been impressive to this point. The Saints have struggled. Drew Brees and that offense are not clicking. Ingram and Rodgers in the backfield have done a good job. In the passing game, they're moving the ball well between the 20s. They're not converting enough into touchdowns. And remember, 7 of those points from that touchdown this week that shouldn't have happened. The Saints, with that blown call on the touchdown to Henry Child, the Saints theoretically should have lost that game to the Bucs this week. The Saints should be 0-3 and only have 39 points scored based on that blown call. So the Saints are kind of living a little bit fortunate. Their defense has been solid, but that offense hasn't really converted enough points given the yardage that they are accumulating to this point. The Buccaneers 0-3 divisional start, just a terrible break for them. We'll wait to see what the injury status is on Leroy Selman, who went down in this week 3 loss to New Orleans. Jameis Winston, who had been solid through the first 2 games. Winston was atrocious in this game against New Orleans. There is no way that the Buccaneers are going to be able to pose any kind of problem with Winston plays like that. Tampa at 0-3 in a rough spot to open up year 2. Next, we take a look at the AFC West, and stories abound in this division. Tight contest. The Chargers and Chiefs at 2-1. Both of those teams defense focused. But look at the Chiefs defense. 20 points allowed through the first 3 games. They have been exceptional. But one of those, their loss to the Chargers, they lost 10-0. Then they allowed only 3 points to the Raiders this week. The Raiders have an issue. That offense is just not clicking. Remember, the Raiders ran off 11 straight wins in year 1. Injuries kind of derailed them late in the season. They had a lot of offensive line issues. They lost Tim Brown to injury. So the Raiders kind of expected to be a team that was really going to have a strong bounce back here in year 2 if they could keep everybody healthy. They've had a very, very difficult go. Ken Stabler has not been great. Marcus Allen has run the ball well. The offense is just not coming like it did last year. That's something to keep an eye on. Their defense, Howie Long, is off to a sensational start. He and Carl Eller tied for the league lead in sacks. But the defense as a whole has been on the field an awful lot and the Raiders have to kind of get that offense in gear to have any shot. The Broncos are the Broncos. The defense has been solid. The offense is going to go as far as Jake Plummer carries them. If Plummer plays well, Broncos can be in the thick and they can hang with any team in this league. Plummer makes mistakes. Plummer is erratic. Plummer doesn't protect the football. The Broncos have issues. Really impressed though with obviously the Chiefs defense and the Chargers. These are the kind of games the Chargers are going to have to win this year. Very, very strong defense, efficient offense, not turning the ball over. Chargers were left on the outside looking in last year. They're going to look to fix that, and they're off to a good start doing so here in Q2. Standings in the NFC West, and the Arizona Cardinals are 3-0. Their defense has been really, really strong. And the offense, Jim Hart has played well, and the rookie Otis Anderson off to a great start. Cardinals improved their offensive line in the offseason, and they got Anderson, and now they are grinding things out. That's opened up stuff for the passing game. Cardinals, they were 2-0. They beat the Rams and the Seahawks, and that was all well and good. Kind of thought they were going to get their wake-up call against the 49ers. And then they went and they took out San Francisco, the defending NFC champs. The Niners are going to be fine. That offense is explosive. Frank Gore is very strong in the backfield. John Brody is terrific at quarterback. They did turn the ball over a couple times. The Cardinals have done that. The Cardinals have been forcing turnovers early on here. And the 49ers will give up the occasional big play because their secondary, while really talented, takes some risks. But San Francisco is going to be fine. The story here is more about the Cardinals. Can the Cardinals keep this up? A rookie like Otis Anderson, kind of an unknown quantity, but so far he's been very, very good, and that has really changed things for Arizona. Their defense, though, the Cardinals' defense, this is a team that allowed 28 points a game a year ago. They have allowed 56 through 3. That is a big change. And the Cardinals, they're possessing the ball, they're keeping time of possession, and that is really taking a lot of the pressure off that defense. We'll see if they can keep that going. But that win over the Niners here in Week 3, letting people know the Cardinals are for real. Rams, that offense can be explosive. Kurt Warner and Torrey Holt, Harold Jackson, these are the top 5 receivers in the league. This is Ian Warner. Jackson was kind of a supplementary guy last year, but he's actually leading the Rams in receptions this year over Torrey Holt. Because Jackson and Warner have gotten a real good thing going so far this year for the Rams. But the Rams give up too many big plays defensively at this point. They're going to have to go and kind of seal that off to be able to get themselves into contention. The Seahawks, 53 points in 3 games and 111 points allowed. Maybe seeing a change at quarterback there, going from John Kitna and giving Rick Meyer a shot to try to get things going. Big problem here for the Seahawks. Marshawn Lynch is going to miss the next month. The rookie has run the ball very well for Seattle, and he is going to be put on the shelf. Chris Warren will step back into the lead running back slot. Seahawks got a lot of problems here in year 2, and it could be a long, long season in Seattle. And with that, we will wrap up the Week 3 highlight show. Apologize, it took a little bit longer to get this one out than the first 2. I was away for much of last week, or tied up with other stuff, and then away for the weekend. So it took me a little longer to put this one together. But as always, I appreciate you tuning in. I was going to go through statistical leaderboards this week, but this show has already gone longer than I've been trying to go to. I'm usually trying to stay within an hour and a half, and we're coming up on 2 on this one. So we'll go through the leaderboard in the Week 4 broadcast. So we did get to go through the standings here. Appreciate you all tuning in. Bang that like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't as of yet. And stay tuned. We got 3 broadcasts coming at you from the Week 4 slate of games as year 2 of the Franchise Stars Football League rolls on. You go to each other, everybody. We'll talk soon.